You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we are again. It was nice to see that heartfelt communication that I just posted, and maybe you viewed, from Congressman Louis Gohmert. He wants people to be safe from unlawful search, seizure, and I'm sure harassment. Well, like I told you, I don't know Louis Gohmert. I don't want you to get this idea that I'm politically connected and this is politics. I would drop Louis as quick as anyone else if he were corrupt. I mean, drop, down. But that's for the people that were operating yesterday. So again, when I say it's a CIA operation, the leaks of that operation style came from those people. I don't know who they were, who they work for. It's been leaked to federal, state, and local law enforcement as investigative techniques. However, it is psychological warfare and psychological torture, and it's not something where they're trying to get you to admit to something. That's the torture. I think yesterday in the video, I'm not sure, and I did see the additional video. I can't make an argument in their defense because the guy that passed on did not resist. The argument, there is always an argument when somebody resists, again, the but for. The officer would not have had some issue. Now, you can fire an officer when somebody resists and they do the wrong thing. At a certain point, it's not criminal. At a certain point, it becomes criminal. But in most cases, you can make the but-for argument that the person resisted. That caused the officer to have that psychological issue that caused an issue. And even if it causes death. Because you can't turn off the adrenaline in a second. You're theoretically supposed to, but again, hindsight is 20/20. So again, you can't really judge it with hindsight. That's the law. You have to be there with that officer, what that officer knew, what that officer was experiencing. But in that particular case in Michigan, there is no real resistance. And if there was, it would have been like a 15-second, I'm not getting out of the car type of thing. And I don't know if that happened because it wasn't a real, what we consider resisting arrest. And I know he was resisting without violence, yada, yada, yada. But again, I think they were tormenting him. I couldn't quite hear the video right, but I think they were saying get up while they were kneeling on his neck. Right then and there, they're gone. They're over. You can't do that. So again, that's what they're doing. Well, we're just trying to elicit a confession. Well, there's nothing to confess to. So you get to torture somebody because they won't confess to something that they have either no clue about or didn't commit, I guess would be the other thought. Or quite frankly, both. I don't want to get into the statement analysis scam. Because they'll go, well, that sounds like you may have committed it, but you don't know what we're investigating. So no, I have, again, I made my statements. I've committed no crime. So that's the torture. Well, we're just investigating. Well, there's really nothing to investigate. Again, you get to murder somebody because you're investigating. Again, exculpatory information and those other things are either pushed away or they're not not taken in the weight that they're supposed to be. And then anytime exculpatory information appears, they're going to operate psychologically, not operate investigatively, operate spycraft psychology and spycraft physical operation to refute any exculpatory information, but it's not really refuted. It's just kind of, well, we've got this over here, but yet you created that completely and utterly. So again, there are worse issues than Russiagate. There are worse issues than FISA scam. I mean, this is at the level of, atrocities in the past, giving, Guatemalans or something gonorrhea. I mean, this is where they're at. I mean, just because it's psychological doesn't mean it hasn't caused physical ailment, and doesn't mean that psychological issues from what they're doing is any less. Because what they're doing is when they find that you heal or look like you're healing, because they've done this in combat, lethal combat, murdered people with or killed them there. There it was legal, here it's not. So they know this person's healing. If we don't take him out, or if he gets with a woman, it's going to all heal. So we got to say this, that, and the other thing. So again, that was good to see that from Louis Gohmert. When it comes to governors, it's just so funny sitting here in Texas and watching Governor Abbott versus all the other governors. Governor Abbott, even though he got into a political thing with somebody, I guess it was Judge, what was that guy's name in Dallas? I can't remember it right now. But the judge in Dallas and him got into some sort of short political spat, and it was very short, and they both kind of moved forward quickly. And even when the salon opened up, he was kind of neutral about it and just kind of fixed it the best he could, as quick as he could. And that's what he's kind of doing. He's so professional about it. He's knowledgeable. And you look at these other governors, and even the Republican governors, they're just not coming off as intelligent and really with the right mentality. It's kind of like a political activity versus a Department of Health activity. The seriousness and the solemnness that it requires has been exhibited by Governor Abbott. And he's moving along, and maybe that comes from a lifelong of disability. Every time I feel bad about my life, and I know Governor Abbott had money, but I look at Governor Abbott and I said, I would have never wanted that to happen when I was a young man. And again, when I see people like that and they got a family, got money, and I say, God, well, I can't take that from him. I wouldn't want him to live my life in the condition he's in. Right. And I know he's fully functional and he's well, and he lives a great life, but again, we have knowledge of his accident when he was younger and how that affected him. So that's great. That's great to see that, because we're not seeing that. It's just so insane. I wonder if Governor Abbott sees it. He might, because he's really kind of forward of all the other governors, the majority of them, on how they're treating COVID-19. You feel like you've got somebody that is not only a governor, he's in it. He's part of it. He's moving and grooving as the entities that are attempting to control COVID-19, heal it, and all the other things. So again, I guess hats off to that as far as what we can accept in what government is doing in this time period. Again, I can't do anything but tell the truth. If I was somebody other than the person I am to tell the truth about what you're doing, I would have been like all the other marshals that ate their gun. Period. Because they don't have the ability to survive. I was just very lucky that I was able to move back closer to God right before it moved up in scale, but I give all that glory and credit to God. Like I told you, it was a spirit that led me out of the government, and it turned out to be Ronald Reagan. Now, he was alive when his spirit led me to some paperwork in my apartment, had me pick it up, and he pointed to retirement. And then, of course, approximately a week or two after I went on sick leave, Ronald Reagan passed on. It would have been nice to not have the deep state in my life and have enjoyed my children as they grew and all the other things that could have happened. But God said to move on in life. And every time I tried to heal and make a real life for me, and one day could have been my children, I guess, if things would have healed, they were there to destroy it. It's not imaginary. It's not mental illness. It's exactly what I've said it was and is. You better get control of these psychological operators before God takes you all down for another one of what you've just been through. So again, we should be thankful that the government of Texas is operating so well. There was a lot of things that happened. One, the testing increased, so we saw additional positives. That would give us a little bit of an increase in cases also, not only the opening. But I really do believe, based upon what we're seeing today, is that some of it was that people were led to believe that COVID-19 wasn't all that Fauci said it was. Therefore, you really don't need to protect yourself. And at a certain point, we did pull back a little bit, but it wasn't time yet to do that. People had not yet been imprinted with the idea of wearing a mask, washing their hands. They just weren't, they had to move back into the open community. And once they moved in the open community, they needed to be afraid a little bit. It's just the way that works. It's very normal for it to be happen. Sure, you people had spoon-fed lives and were never afraid of anything or caused to fear at that level. So you kind of reject it and rebel against it. But again, that's also a lot of times a sign of people that rebel against God. So again, God needed people to be a little afraid to protect them. And then at a certain point, when Dr. Birx began to remove, and Dr. Fauci began to remove that fear, doesn't that fit